couldn't this being just have been someone who created the universe, like setting a top in motion, and has nothing more to do with us? Why should we think that this being is a personal, moral being with a standard for his creation to follow? This brings us to the idea of absolute morality, and the launching question, why do Christians think this being cares about how we run our lives? Now there are two options when it comes to morality, and only two. There's natural law and there's positive law. Natural law says that there are moral laws that transcend nature, an absolute standard, because they are rooted in this creator of the universe. Conversely, positive law states that moral laws are determined by people based on culture, time, and situation, and as it's created by humans, human authority is the end-all. Why should it be natural law instead of positive law? Well, do we use reason to determine moral laws, or do we use reason to discover them? There's an instinctual knowledge in the subconscious concerning a moral standard. To put that simply, there's a sense in everyone which tells us something is right or wrong. You can say that sense is instinctual. Self-preservation or preserving young are animal instincts. But what about when you shouldn't do the safe option, like saving someone you don't even know from being hit by a car when you have your own family to care for? Think about that. How can your instincts tell you to ignore your instincts because it's the right thing to do? That falls into the is-ought fallacy. Now, the is-ought fallacy is when we ascribe a moral prescription, how we ought to behave, when we say we don't. We can say what is, like people have lifestyles, but the minute you use ought, like you ought not judge someone else's lifestyle, you're appealing to a rule that I should follow. You can't call something or someone absolutely wrong unless you think there's an absolute right, any more than you can call a line crooked if you have no idea what a straight line looks like, or any more than you'd know what colors were if everybody was colorblind. That is a violation of logic. Now, the problem with laws determined by governments is actually its very definition when it's laid out for what it is. And human authority, aka governments, determine right and wrong. What happens when you apply that to actual real events? Well, the first international trial concerning human rights, the Nuremberg trials, brought criminal charges against the Nazi leaders for crimes against humanity. The Nazi defense was actually based upon their own laws determined by their government, and their defense is solid. Under the laws of Nazi Germany, we can have nothing to say about their actions since their government declared it was right, because human rights do not exist if the government says they don't. Now, the ruling of those trials established, with some of the finest minds in jurisprudence, that there is a transcendent moral standard. The Declaration of Independence and civil rights would be meaningless without an absolute standard. You cannot call someone's morals better than others if there's no real morality, any more than you can say someone's drawing of a map is better than your own unless you have a reference for what the country should look like. When logic is applied, absolute morality, a transcendent standard to which we are held, is the logical next step in the light of theism.